Am I the one at fault for informing my mill that she won't be present in the delivery room when I give birth? The author of the post is listed in the description. Before I begin, I need to clarify that I'm a trans man. I was a fab but transitioned about 5 years ago. I, 30M, am 38 weeks pregnant with mine and my husband James's, 33M, first child. We had talked about children before I transitioned, and we both said we wanted them. After I transitioned, he asked me if I would be okay with carrying our child, and if I'm not, we could look into other options. I told him I still wanted to carry our child as I always wanted to experience it. I haven't started T or gotten surgery because I wanted to wait until I had kids. I didn't mind waiting either. I feel somewhat okay in my body, and whenever I do feel dysphoric, my husband is always there to help me. When I transitioned, James was and is still very supportive. However, his family did not take it well. They continue to call me by my dead name, along with the wrong pronouns. Whenever James or I correct them, they bring up the fact that I don't have the right parts, and I don't look or sound like a man either. It upset me at the start as I had been very close with his family, but now I've gotten used to it and do my best to ignore it. James, however, can't get past it, and when someone says something, he ends up arguing with them. When we told his family that I was pregnant, they were all excited, as this was the first baby born into the family. My ML especially was very excited and began telling me about different things I needed to do to keep the baby healthy. As the months passed, I kept hearing comments about me being a mom, even though I made it clear that I want the baby to call me Papa or Dad. I've been told that I can't have a silly surgery to remove my breasts because I need them to feed my baby. Also, they're glad I came to my senses about pretending to be a man. We found out we were having a little boy, and almost instantly, we picked a name for him. We both love anything to do with space, and we wanted our firstborn to have a space-related name, so we decided that our little boy would be called Leo after the constellation. My meal wasn't happy with that name and started calling him Isaac. James and I corrected her numerous times, telling her that it wasn't our son's name, but she wouldn't listen. She got a blanket, a few onesies, and a teddy bear with the name Isaac engraved on them. She told us that when we see him, we'll see that she was right, and we'll name him Isaac. We decided to do a hospital birth, and my MIL demanded that she be in the room so she could see her first grandchild being born. Neither James or I want her there. We want it to be a special moment with just the two of us. She wouldn't take no for an answer. Last week, we were at their house for dinner, and she began bragging to the rest of the family that she would be there when I had the baby. James snapped and told her she wasn't going to be there, especially with how she treated me over the past few years with my transition. She got upset and yelled at him about this being an important moment for her, but James wasn't having it, and they both got into a pretty heated argument. I had enough and told her to fuck off and take no for an answer, or she wasn't going to ever see her grandson. She started crying, and I received multiple glares from the rest of the family. James and I left, and neither of us spoke during the ride home, but when he got home, he said he was sorry for how he acted and didn't mean to upset me. I told him it wasn't his fault and he had every right to say something. We spent the night cuddled in bed watching TV and feeling our son kick. In the last few days, I've received numerous messages from people telling me that I shouldn't have threatened my MIL, that I had no right to do that, and that I should apologize. I've even gotten messages from some of our friends who heard the story from James's sisters. I replied, saying that she needed to apologize for overstepping and not listening to a word James or I had said. The responses to that weren't kind, and I haven't replied. I keep being bombarded with messages, and now James is as well. Did we go too far? Should we apologize for how we handled the situation? James says no, but I don't know what to do. Relevant, top comments. Commenter, NTA, I won't touch the transition issue because even without it, you were a woman. It would be the same. She is insisting that the name you have chose won't be the name of your child. She is refusing to acknowledge your body autonomy for wanting to have a restraint committee when you are giving birth. She is an AH and a just no-mill. Commenter, until the baby exits your body, this is all about you, OP. Giving birth is one of the most vulnerable states that you can be in, so you need to be surrounded by people who support you, not someone with main character syndrome. Commenter, NTA, I can't believe the entitlement of your mill. She is way out of line. She does not get to decide your child's name, nor does she has the right to be in the room when he gets born. You have an awesome husband. You did nothing wrong. She simply wouldn't listen to your reasonable voice. Good luck and F we help you. I think Leo is a beautiful name. Update. Okay, so James went over to his parents a couple days after my post to pick up some things. I don't know what they talked about, but when he came home, he was pissed and told me that we were never going to see them again. I didn't argue with him, but later that night I asked him what happened, and all he said was, "I can't believe those people are related to me." I didn't ask anything else and just hugged him tightly. A few days later, I went into labor. James and I didn't tell anyone, and we spent the next 34 hours together, and when our beautiful baby boy made his appearance, it was just us, just like we wanted, and it was amazing. I was able to go home 2 days after I gave birth, and when we arrived home, we found James's family in our living room. We never gave any of them a key to our house. The only people to have keys are me and James. James was furious and started telling them to leave, but they refused to go. They tried to see Leo, but James pulled the cover on the baby carrier down, which blocked their view of him. They started yelling, demanding that we show them Leo. James's mom called Leo Isaac again and said it was her right to see him as his grandmother. James handed the carrier to me and told me to go to the bedroom with Leo. I didn't hesitate and left the room. I heard shouting coming from both James and his family. James threatened them by saying he'd call the cops if they didn't go, and that got them to shut up. About 15 minutes later, I heard the front door open and close, and James came upstairs. When he stepped into the bedroom, he just broke down. He collapsed onto the ground and sobbed. My heart broke, and I hurried over to him and held him in my arms. He kept apologizing to me over and over, and when I said it was okay, and we'd figure something out, he just kept saying no and apologizing again. When he calmed himself down, he told me he just wanted his family to be happy for him, to love him, and to respect him. He kept thinking of what he did wrong to make them feel this way, and the longer he did that, he began to get upset again. I stopped him and firmly told him that he didn't need them, that his family was right here, that me and Leo aren't going anywhere and will always love him. We spent the rest of the day in bed talking about what to do with Leo between us. Since that day, we've been in contact with the police, and they've been so helpful and kind about our situation. It's been hard on James, but he knows it's best for us not to contact them anymore. We hope this will be done soon, and we can put it behind us and focus on the future. But for now, we're enjoying being a family of 3 and doting on our little boy every chance we get. Relevant top comments. Commenter: good for you, OP. Don't forget to change the locks of your home and lose the contact info of your husband's family. Oop. Thank you. Already done. Got them changed the day after we got home. Commenter: congrats on your baby boy. May you, husband, and Leo be happy and healthy in your lives together. So sorry for your husband's ordeal with his toxic family. How did they gain entrance into your home, and how did they know you were coming home from hospital that day? NTAA: oop. Thank you. We don't know how they knew or how they got in. Everything was so chaotic that we didn't even think of it at the time. Definitely something to figure out, though. Okay, next story. My wife is moving out of state and I can't leave with her. My wife finally got accepted into a dental school after 3 cycles of applying. She didn't get accepted to any in-state schools the last 2 cycles, so she decided to apply broadly last year to give her a better chance of getting in. Last month, she received an acceptance letter from a really good program, and I'm extremely proud of her for all of her hard work. There's only one problem. It's an out-of-state program, and I have 2 children from a previous relationship that I see every other weekend. I would love to move with my wife and support her, but I also can't imagine leaving my children behind for 4 years. I asked my wife to please apply another cycle to see if she can get into an in-state program, but she really doesn't want to, and honestly, I can't blame her at all. My ex also heard about my wife's acceptance letter from my mother, and they are already calling me a bad father for even considering moving so far away. I feel very torn between my wife and my kids. Should I try long distance? Should I beg my wife to reapply? Should I try to get a parenting plan in place to become a summer dad? Has anyone here ever been in a remotely similar situation? I don't know what to. Comments. Commenter: you can't ask your wife to reapply after she went through 2 years of denials from the same schools you want her to reapply to. You need to tell your mother that she will be cut off from information about your family if she won't stop blabbing it to your ex. You can at least try long distance first. Oop. Yes, realistically, I know I can't ask her to do that, especially since she has sacrificed so much. I'm just trying to find any solution to keep my family together. Commenter. My husband got into out-of-state dental school 2 years into my medical school training. The drive was 4 hours away. Granted, we had no children, but we made every effort to see each other on weekends and holidays and breaks. It wasn't fun, but sometimes the absence makes you appreciate them even more. Now we are both graduated and live at home together and appreciate it because of the long distance and struggles that we overcame. Whoop. Thank you for commenting. This gives me some hope that long distance can work for us. Update. 2 months later. My wife is leaving the state for dental school in a few months, and we had finally come to terms with the idea of doing a long-distance relationship for the next 4 years so I could still be in my kids' lives. After months of discussing the situation with my family, my parents have offered to help move my daughters and my ex to the same city where my wife is going to dental school. They even offered to pay for an apartment nearby for them until my ex finds stable income there. The mother of the girls has wanted to leave the state for years, so she's on board and ready to make the move. I was really excited that I wouldn't have to do long distance anymore while still having my girls around, and I think this works out perfectly. However, I have noticed in recent weeks that my wife is unhappy, not comfortable with this solution, and wants to stick to the original plan of doing LDR. My parents and her have not had the best relationship, to say the least, and this is causing unnecessary strain in the family. My parents have expressed wanting my wife to be more involved with the girls, and her resistance is making it look like she doesn't have mine or the girls' best interest at heart. This is obviously not true. She is a phenomenal wife and stepmother, and I desperately want my parents to love her like we do. How can we all work together to find a solution that addresses everyone's needs and concerns? Comments. Commenter. However, I have noticed in recent weeks that my wife is unhappy, not comfortable with this solution, and wants to stick to the original plan of doing LDR. This is a bit strange to me. Granted, your wife doesn't get on with your folks all that well, but they aren't moving as well, right? The apartment offer was for your ex, correct? On paper, this seems like a first-class solution. Win-win-win. What theories have you about your wife's state of mind? A 4-year long-distance marriage is a huge challenge to sustain. Why would your wife prefer that? Let's get that elephant to step forth here. How is the state of your marriage on all levels? OOP. My parents coincidentally already live in MA, but not in the same city where my wife got accepted. They don't necessarily dislike my wife, but they have repeatedly stated that they want me to work things out with my ex for the sake of the children, and they have preference over her since she's the mother of their only grandchildren. My wife has expressed feeling like an outsider and unwelcome and has stopped making an effort in trying to have a relationship with them, which makes her come off as cold and distant. I think she will feel outnumbered by having us all so close to each other, but I have assured her that I am always in her corner. Commenter. Are you for real? Your parents are basically trying to get you back with your ex, and you seem like your wife being cold and distant is the problem? You two need marriage counseling, and your parents need to get on board or be put at a distance. Commenter. I'm not sure. His wife was going to leave the state and leave OP behind where his ex-wife already resides, where he would continue to have regular custody time with his children, now with his wife absent, and regular contact with his ex-wife, again with his wife long distance for 4 entire years. If their goal was to try to revive their son's marriage to his ex, why would they be putting in so much effort into allowing him to continue living with his current wife? Oop. No. I want to clarify that my wife is definitely not the problem. I just mentioned that she's cold and distant to describe how she rightfully feels towards them and why she isn't 100% comfortable with the plan. I just think that her agreeing to them moving with us will make everyone more receptive towards her, and it's a step in the right direction to mend the relationship. Commenter. I think she's trying to get away from you. How do you like these stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.